Welcome back. We're here to preview Sunday afternoon's Premier League game between Burnley and Spurs. Matt will start with Spurs before the international break. The last game, incredible game, 4-3 win over Leicester.
Yeah, it was a real 7-goal thriller, wasn't it? You know, a lot of goals, a lot of incidents, and I think Spurs obviously went 2-0 up early on. Didn't play really well. Leicester were arguably the better team, but they found themselves 2-0 up, and obviously Harry Kane getting both goals, and Leicester got back in the game with some poor defending from Spurs. Sorry, you know, the second one especially was, you know, a corner. Wes Morgan, you know, had plenty of space in there, and probably their best header of the ball, and to have that amount of space in the box is obviously, you know, disappointing from the Spurs point of view. But they came back, obviously got the penalty, which was controversial to say the least. Harry Kane sticks it away for his hat-trick, and you know, he fancy Spurs to go and they then go and get a fourth, but you know, Leicester scored in stoppage time, sorry, didn't have David Nugent, but it was always, you know, Spurs, there was never enough time to get another goal. But you know, it is a win, but I don't think the fans have been too impressed with some of the defending. You know, they struggled at Manchester United a few weeks ago, struggled defensively, you know, got cut open at the back, and look at Spurs' back four, and they've got some decent players in there, but not really solid enough. You know, you talk about whether they're going to finish in the top four, but beat Leicester last time out. But you know, some negatives as well as positives.
Obviously, the main positive would have been the Harry Kane hat-trick, his first hat-trick as a Spurs player, and that takes him up to 19 goals in the Premier League. I mean, he was briefly top scorer, but then Costa scored against Hull, so it's now they're both on 19 goals at the top, and his rise has been incredible. And since then, the international break, obviously getting that first England call up, and I was surprised. I thought he really should have started against Lithuania in that first game. I thought he deserved it. I was surprised, but you know, Danny Welbeck, it's hard to say that he shouldn't have started because he was obviously the top scorer in qualifying and got another goal to take it up to 6. He's now clear as the top scorer in qualifying, so it would have been harsh on Welbeck, and you can kind of see why Hodgson, you know, decided not to. But then Kane obviously comes off the bench, 79 seconds, scores his first goal, so it was incredible from him. And then he got his first start against Italy, and I think even though in the Italian game he didn't have quite as much luck, it was a tough game. You know, Italy, they play as 3 centre-backs, Chiellini, Ranocchia, Bonucci. They're so experienced, they know, and I think they would have quite fancied, you know, shutting Kane down, and they did quite a good job of it. But I was actually quite impressed with Kane in the air in that game. I didn't realise how much of a good leap he had. He won a few really good flick-ons, and there was the chance in the first half when he pulled away to the back post, and it led to Rooney hitting the bar because he won the header at the back post. So even though he didn't have as much luck in that game in terms of chances, that he didn't get through on goal very much, I think he was good in the air, and he's shown a lot of different attributes to his game, and he almost scored an incredible late winner as well with that half volley, really, really well struck, and just too close to Buffon really. But I think he can be really pleased with how, you know, he could have gone away with England and, you know, not sort of gone on with his Premier League form, but obviously scored in that first game and, you know, had his moments against Italy. So I think in terms of how it went with England for Kane, I thought he actually did quite well.
Yeah, you mentioned obviously he is top of the scoring charts alongside Costa, but I think Kane didn't start playing, you know, regular Premier League football till November. So you talk about the amount of goals he scored since then, and has been a really impressive season, hasn't he? But he might win Player of the Year. You know, he's up there, like I say, with Hazard and people like that have had good seasons. But Kane's obviously going to be vitally important if Spurs are going to finish in the top 4, sitting 7th at the minute, but they're 6 points off the top 4, and I know it's difficult, isn't it, when they lost the game against United, obviously the big one, and then United went and beat Liverpool, so they've obviously, you know, taken charge of that sort of, you know, race to finish up there with Arsenal and City and Chelsea, and like I said, there's Southampton, Liverpool, Spurs, the other 3 teams that are battling for that. And you know, you're looking at Spurs, they'll probably have to go and beat Burnley and hope other results go their way for them to get in there. I think if Spurs do finish 7th, I think that's a really poor season, you know, finishing 7th. If they do manage to finish in top 4, it's obviously excellent, but you know, look at the progress. There has been progress this season, but Spurs can still be a little bit soft, can't they? You know, soft underbelly, especially away from home. But that said, against the lesser teams away from home, they've been good. Plenty of late winners. Christian Eriksen's done it a few times, hasn't he? So this is obviously massively important. Again, they probably have to win if they are going to finish top 4.
I think, yeah, you said that 7th would be disappointing, but I think 6th, you know, that would probably be about right for them. You look at the sides that would finish above them. If it was 6th, it'd be Liverpool, United, Arsenal, City, and Chelsea. And you say that Spurs, you know, they haven't got the quality of those 5 teams. So 6th would be good, and you know, they go into this game, they're level on points with Southampton. Southampton with a much better goal difference, and you know, speaking of Southampton, that's who Burnley played last time. You know, they went to the St Mary's, Burnley, tough game going there. Southampton, you know, they're having a great season, and tough to break down defensively, and Burnley, you know, ending up losing 2-0 in that game. Quite a tough game for them. They didn't play too bad in that. I think the own goal from Jason Xhaka, which made it 2-0, that was the, you know, a killer blow for them, because at 1-0 they're always kind of in the game, and they might have, you know, created the odd chance, but once it went 2-0 they were never going to get back into it, and that, you know, still leaves them in the bottom 3. So a bit off form at the moment as well, but there is certainly positives for Burnley. I think they're the side out of the 3 sides in the bottom 3. Obviously they're positionally the best placed side to do it, but I think in terms of the way they're playing and certainly the will that they seem to be showing, I think they've got the best chance of getting out of it. But at the moment it's hard to see them doing it because Sunderland have got a new manager. You know, you look at the other sides above them, Sherwood, he's at Villa, they've got a new manager. You know, Hull with Steve Bruce, you'd be surprised if they get dragged down. So I think at the moment Burnley, they do look down. But if there's going to be one team who's going to make a late season surge, I think it might just be them.
We've mentioned their terrible run of games they've had, and this sort of the way the fixture list came up is quite incredible, isn't it? But last home game against Manchester City, they beat them 2-1. They gave them a real chance. Like you say, they're sitting in 18th, still the best obviously place, like you say, to get out of that. And if results go against them this weekend, I mean, to talk about Villa, got a tough game at Manchester United, get beat there, and Burnley managed to win. Obviously, it's a tough game, but only scored 14 home goals this season, which is disappointing. You talk about teams at home, especially at the bottom, that's going to be very important. But obviously, already played Spurs 3 times this season as well, twice in the Cup. Drew the game at Turf Moor in the Cup 1-1, so might get a bit of confidence in that. But obviously, lost at Spurs in the league and lost the obviously replay from the Cup game. So it's a tough ask against Spurs. Spurs are I'd say decent away from home against the so-called lesser teams, but never know, might fancy themselves.
Yeah, but it's 1 win in 9 for them, isn't it? And that win was the 1-0 win over City. So that was a bit of a surprise result. So certainly their form of late hasn't been good enough for them to deserve staying up. And like I say, this is a tough game against Spurs. So what's your score prediction?
I think it will be tight. I think Spurs might just nick it though. Like I say, they tend to do that, and I think it might be 1-1 for long spells. Maybe to the latter stages. But I think Spurs will ultimately just nick it 2-1.
I think, when you look at the Spurs' last game against Leicester, another game against one of the bottom sides, there was certainly a lot of goals in that one. I think it could be the same here. Spurs, with the likes of Kane, he's in flying form at the moment. He's going to score goals for you, but I think they are fallible at the back as well. You look at players like Vertonghen, who, even though when he first came to the league, looked really good, he certainly hasn't quite shown up defensively in terms of how solid and positionally, he doesn't seem to quite know where he is. So I think there could be a lot of goals, but I'm going to back Spurs as well. I'm going to go for a 3-2 Spurs win. So both fancy Spurs nicking this one. Thanks for watching.